Kristin Tate is a columnist at the Boston Herald. Daniel Alvarez, RNC senior advisor. Both ladies join us tonight. And again, this is not an indictment of all young ladies, because obviously you two know how to vote. But we have a big problem here when you got Emily Saves America just blurting that out. I saw that over the long weekend, and I couldn't believe that comment to see that on social media. Kristin, how do you take this? What do you think is happening to our young ladies?
Well, so much of this issue with young women can come down to one word, which is abortion. Republicans need to steer the conversation away from abortion when they are talking, especially to young female voters, because Democrats love to throw out talking points about how Republicans want to outlaw all abortions and strip young women of the right to do what they want with their own bodies. These kinds of talking points, they make for great sort of bumper sticker slogans. But I also think, Rob, that Republicans need to shift their focus away from the young Gen Z women to married women. We see married women vote for Republicans in much higher numbers than for Democrats. And these women care about the same issues as men, but it often comes down to communication differences. Figures like Nick Fuentes or Andrew Tate, these are not appealing people to the vast majority of married women.
That's true.
So we need spokespeople out there who can make these policies that are good for women appealing to women.
Yeah. Danielle, would the country be better off if women could not vote? That was the assessment from Emily in the soundbite in the introduction there.
You know, unfortunately, I disagree. President Trump versus Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris captured about 54% of female voters, I think, if I'm remembering my numbers correctly. And it's because President Trump talked about issues that matter to all Americans. One of the things that as tacticians we did on President Trump's campaign is we talked to all voters. We didn't talk to voting blocs. It is something that Democrats like to do. They like to segment out voters. And President Trump talked to all Americans. He talked about securing the border, which was top of mind for all voters. It didn't matter gender, age, race. He talked about affordability and turning around our economy, which Joe Biden had collapsed. And again, those were issues that mattered to all Americans. So I think that that is the best way for our candidates moving forward and heading into the midterm to talk to female voters. Female voters want to make sure to balance their checkbooks. They want to make sure that if they're young women, first-time home buyers, they can afford a home, they can afford groceries, they can afford gas. We have to talk about those issues that matter most to them.
Kristin, I mean, when you see numbers like 80% went for Mamdani in New York, these are the young ladies that have really taken the pill that, you know, that there's oppression. Men are the problem, you know, don't have kids, don't have a family. That's the New York Sex and the City girl. How do you bring them back? How do you bring them back to reality?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is what these kids have been spoon-fed from, you know, their entire time in the public school systems and in college. They get pumped out into the real world extremely radical. But the hope here is that as these young women get married, they do become more Republican, especially when they have young kids. In the last cycle, in the last presidential cycle, the Democrats made a very bad mistake, which is they made parents into a voting bloc. I love to see Republicans be more bold in leaning into those cultural issues like the trans issue, allowing biological men into little girls' locker rooms and bathrooms. This was a sleeper issue in the last presidential election that got so many married women with children to the polls. I live in suburban Boston. I can tell you a lot of the women here are used to voting for like moderate Democrats. Many of them voted for President Trump, even though they don't like Trump that much, because of that one issue. They are terrified of it. So they've got to, Republicans can't be scared of these issues.
That's a great point. Kristin Tate, Daniel Alvarez, good to see you, ladies. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Rosie